everyone. This is Tina McGlynn with Life and Stories, another podcast for you today. And I am going to talk with Fred Moskowitz, who is the alternative investment expert. And he just wrote a book, and I want to know all about you, Fred. I want to know about your book and what can you do for us? How are you doing?
Doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me on your program, Tina. This is
Yeah, glad
fantastic.
to have
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Looking forward to getting into our conversation today.
Yeah. I want to hear about your book first, and then tell me about everything else.
Great. I just released my latest book. It's called The Little Green Book of Note Investing.
Like that title. Green means money.
Yeah. And it's all about the wonderful world of note investing, which is investing in notes and mortgages. And people don't realize this. Many people don't realize this, but any one of us are able to own a note and hold it and be the one receiving the monthly payments, just like a bank. So essentially what you're doing is you're stepping into the shoes of the lender and becoming the bank. And now you're the one that can be receiving the monthly payments instead of always being the one that's making them, right? So it's a chance to step across the aisle and go from that. Now, when you buy a note, one that exists already, you buy it, you take it over, and I'm sure many people in your audience have experienced this from the perspective of being a borrower, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Maybe how many of you have purchased a home or refinanced a home, right? And then it doesn't even happen within 3 to 6 months, you get a letter from the lender saying,
Yes.
dear Mr. and Mrs. Borrower, please be notified that your loan has been sold. And starting next month, you can make your payments to the new lender. And don't worry, none of the terms and conditions of your loan are changing. Your interest rate is all the same. But starting next month, here's their phone number. Call them with any questions, and you'll be making your payments to them from now on. Right?
Wow.
Just about everyone has gone through this. It's
Yeah.
very common.
Yes.
So there is this whole secondary market that exists where loans are bought and sold every day between lenders.
Wow. So we could be the big boys.
We can, and there's a lot of benefits, to this. And I'll mention just a couple, right? The first one is that when you buy a note, you can buy it at a discount. So
Oh,
what that means is you can buy it for less than the amount owed on the debt.
okay.
This is a very standard practice in the note industry. But the second point is because of that discount, it's going to result in a high rate of return for you as the investor because you're effectively going to be receiving a higher rate of return than what the interest rate was on that loan.
Oh, okay. Can you
Yeah,
walk me through an example then, Fred, so we can kind of, understand the math?
sure. Um, let's say we have $100,000 loan. Here's a
Yeah.
very typical example: $100,000 mortgage, 30-year, at 6%,
Mhm.
and that payment's going to work out to be about $599 a month, right?
Okay.
So that $100,000 loan, if it gets sold, let's say the lender, the investor, whoever owns that note, they need to recapitalize for whatever reason. Maybe they have another transaction they need to raise capital for quickly. So what
Okay.
will they do? They'll sell that note at a discount. So instead of it being sold for $100,000, they may sell it for 90.
Oh, okay. That kind of discount. Got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's sold for less than the amount owed.
Okay.
And so what that does, instead of the new owner receiving 6% uh, 6% on the note, they're effectively going to have a higher yield because of that discount. So
Okay.
they may be receiving 7 or 8 or maybe 9%, right? There's all these different parameters that come into play, but that's the idea,
Okay.
right? So for anyone that's a real estate investor, I'm sure this is going to really resonate with
Yeah.
you, because real estate investors, what do? They go out to the real estate market and they try to buy a property for less than market value
Yeah.
and build in that equity, right? So this is the same principle, except we're doing it with a note. We're in the finance side, and that's what happens. So when I learned about that, note investing became very appealing to me.
Yeah.
And another benefit, really, which is really nice, is that you're investing in something which is backed by an
True.
asset with
Yeah.
tangible value. So you have
Yeah.
protection, right? You have protection. If you go out and invest in other investments, maybe it's a stock of a company or something. If the company goes bankrupt, some things don't go well, the people that are going to lose out are the shareholders,
Sure.
right?
Because there's nothing left, right? We're
The company will
yeah.
liquidate their assets. They may go through bankruptcy, and then the people that invested that are shareholders, they're going to miss out. I mean, it's unlikely that that value goes to zero, but some of you may remember what happened with Enron, where they were playing games and cooking the books and all this. The shareholders lost everything. They got zero out of that. So with note investing, I really like the idea of investing in something that's secured by collateral, because
And
if something,
insurance, right? Because if you have a
yeah,
mortgage on the house, then you would have, or the property, you would have insurance if something happened. Yeah.
absolutely, just
Okay.
any lender will require, if they write a loan, they were going to require that insurance is in place on the property. They have all these protections. So when you buy a note, you are afforded all the rights and remedies and protections that are in those loan documents, just like the bank. So
Yeah.
it really really puts you into a good position financially. Now, I really like the idea of this for diversification purposes, right?
Okay.
Because let's say you invest, you have a 401k at work. Those are likely going to be all stock market investments. Maybe you have some rental properties, some real estate. Maybe you own your own business. Those are all investments that you have. They're assets with value, but you can have some portion of your holdings into debt, into notes, and that really rounds out everything. Because what happens is market cycles exist all the time, right?
Yeah.
They
Yep.
go
Yes,
up,
you
they
do.
go down, but no matter what, investments like note investments, they generate income for you on an ongoing basis. And I don't know if you've ever thought about it this way, but what I've found is that people always prefer to live indoors, right? So there's always a demand for housing,
Yeah.
and housing needs to be bought with financing. So you always have that. So people will really prioritize making their mortgage payments. And so you have that income coming in, which is great. So if the stock market is having
Windy.
in a downturn, it lost value, all of these things have happened in the
Yeah.
world, there you have your notes generating income on an ongoing basis. So I really like that, and I always suggest that to people. Look into this to see if it's right for you, because it can really add a level of stability that you might be missing out on in your investment accounts and your retirement accounts as well.
That makes sense. So tell us, Fred, how does somebody get started doing this type of investment?
Well, there's really two ways to get started in note investing.
Okay.
The first way is to buy an existing note out on the secondary market. And in the book, I talk a lot about that,
Okay.
about where to go to find notes. There's not really any kind of of a global exchange for them. It's
Oh,
all done
okay.
through personal relationships for the most part.
Oh,
So you have to get involved with sellers of notes, and there's investment funds that buy and sell notes on an
okay.
ongoing basis. So you do have to build relationships in order to do this. A lot of real estate investors that are in that space, they're somewhat familiar with notes, as well as business brokers, because small businesses are often sold with a note as
Oh,
part of the
okay.
transaction. Sometimes there's real estate backing that note. So there's some different ways. So in summary, you can buy a note on the secondary market, but another way to get involved in note investing is by investing passively in a note fund.
Okay.
And what is a note fund? A note fund is where a fund manager will go out, they'll raise capital from investors, and then they'll take that capital and go out and buy notes in bulk quantity. And so when they do that, they're able to negotiate better discounts, and also have better access to notes. So it's a really nice option, especially for people that want to be a passive investor, where they don't
Okay.
want to be directly involved in the business.
They don't want to be a landlord, you mean, right?
Right, they don't need to be. They can partner, in essence, they're partnering with the fund managers and fund operators, and leveraging their experience and the network and the relationships that they have, and benefiting from that, and they're earning a rate of return. It's a really nice option for someone that's investing out of a retirement account. Let's say
Okay.
you have an IRA from a prior employer. You can always invest that into notes, and a great strategy is using a note fund to do
Okay.
that.
And then
Yeah.
so when you say retirement account, is this then someone who's already beyond the age of retirement, or is this something like the Rob Act where you could be young and use your
The
existing.
Roth, do you mean the
Yeah.
Roth? Yeah. Well, it's both. It can be
Okay.
both. And here's what I mean about this. So there is there is a really great strategy for retirement accounts called self-directed
Yep. Yep.
IRAs, right?
Yes.
Self-directed IRAs. And what these are they're specialized custodians. This is really a niche area. But if you have a 401k from a prior employer, or an account that is from an employer in the past that you used to work at, you can always roll that over into a new custodian. And if you take it to a self-directed custodian, there's a number of them that that do a really good job. They will allow you to invest in alternative assets,
Oh, okay.
real estate. You could buy a rental property.
Okay.
You can invest in a local business. You can invest in notes and mortgages. You can invest in a large real estate, like a large commercial deal. There's all these different things that are available to you. If you have a retirement account that is at somewhere like Fidelity or Vanguard,
Mhm.
they're only going to allow you to invest in stocks and mutual funds
Ah,
and the
okay.
products they have. So this is the distinction. You go to a self-directed custodian, and then now your world really opens up.
Opens
And
up.
this
Yeah.
this is nothing new.
Okay.
It's right in the tax code. Some people may get the idea, oh, this is illegal, or you can't do that. But no, the ones that tell you you can't do that are the traditional custodians
Who
that
don't
don't
want you
let
to.
you. And the reality is, you can't do it with them. They won't
Right.
have that as an option for you.
That
But if
makes
you go
sense.
to a different custodian, now you can certainly do this. But it's right in tax code. The tax code for retirement accounts for IRAs, individual retirement accounts, it doesn't tell you what you can invest in. It
Right.
only tells you what you can't. And there's specific things that are excluded, like collectibles and alcohol, and
Oh, yeah.
you can't buy vintage wine and have that in your
Darn.
retirement account. All right. But there's other things like so it only tells you what you can invest in, and everything else is allowed as long as you adhere to the specific rules they
Rules.
have. But your IRA custodian is going to be well up to speed on the rules, making sure you keep everything compliant. But now the investments can be self-directed, and the emphasis is on you to find those, to do your due diligence on them,
Okay.
and open up your world. You can invest in real estate, notes.
Love it.
Yeah, a
Love it.
lot of private investments that are out there. And a lot of people think, oh, those are things that are only available to the ultra wealthy or to the ultra connected, but that there's nothing further from the truth.
It's also for the little people.
No, it's for anyone
Yeah.
that takes initiative to learn,
To find it. Yeah.
on your own, network, build relationships. That's how you can get involved in it. I'll share with you a little story, Tina. I mean, this
Good.
is
I love
something
stories.
something that that came to me.
Okay.
I had, and many years ago, I had an investment opportunity brought to me,
Okay.
and it was a small community bank that was just getting off the ground.
Okay.
They had an initial offering. They were looking to raise investments from 100 people, all small amounts from
Okay.
100 different people. They wanted to be community focused, and these are your local community banks. They're in every town of America,
Yeah.
where they may have one or two branches. They focus on business lending in the community. Um, I always encourage people, you should support your local banks and
Okay.
build relationships with them, because those are the people, they'll get to know you on a first name basis and have a long-term relationship. But anyway, that's what this was. It was a bank that was starting up.
Okay.
I actually found this through my accountant, who
Oh, okay.
introduced me to the people. So here you see, it's just like the power of relationships,
Relationships. Yeah.
right? One builds into another. And so I was in that deal for about 10 years. It was an illiquid investment,
Okay.
right? It had to be held in a self-directed retirement account, but the bank did really well. And then they were acquired by a larger regional bank after about
Oh.
10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And now I could sell my ownership in it, and it did really well. And so the best part about that whole thing was I invested from my retirement account. It was my Roth IRA, 100% tax free,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is super powerful.
Oh, it
But
is.
you need to get educated about how to structure your affairs so that you can do investments and minimize your taxes when you do it. Because
Yeah.
if you do it the default way, you may be paying 40 or 50% even of your profit back to the government in taxes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We call
So
it tax favorable. And I'm always, I have tax clients that they get to a level of wealth and I tell them, what are we doing here? Why are we, you've paid your share. Now
yeah,
let's be, smart. Your kids are grown, you have no dependents. You need to do something with this, this disposable income. And I'm glad, to know you because now I have another, network of, hey, maybe this will work for you. Um, especially when I find people in their, late 40s and 50s and they're at their optimal, whether if they're still employed, optimal earning capacity and not quite sure, what to do with, that extra money and how many vacation homes can you really buy, right? Without it, unless you're Airbnb-ing it. But so I love this alternative investment,
yeah.
choice.
It's so powerful, and there's so many options, and there's no there's no right or wrong answer, Tina.
Yeah.
It's all about what is in alignment for you,
Hmm.
your risk profile, the amount of time and effort you have, and whether you want to be passive or active. You can do all these different variations, but it's a matter of finding what you like, what's going to be appealing for you. And
That
for
makes
each
sense.
person, it's different.
Yeah, no, I
Right?
totally get it. Now, and if Fred, if somebody, first of all, how do we get your book?
The book it's available on Amazon.
Okay.
Just search
Okay.
search either by my name, Fred Moskowitz, or
Okay.
by the title, The Little Green Book of Note Investing.
Okay. Well,
It
I will put the our video for all those of you who listen along. As you remember, video is on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to see Fred's links for his book. And what other ways can we find you, Fred? Facebook page or tell us?
Well, there's a couple ways. Thank you,
Okay.
Tina.
Yeah.
For anyone that would like to reach out, connect with me, just visit my website.
Okay.
It's fredmoskowitz.com,
Okay.
right? And for a little easier spelling, you can go to giftfromfred.com.
Aw.
And when you go there, I'm going to make a special offer for all your listeners.
Okay.
For anyone that visits my website and signs up, you can receive a special report for free that I'll email you. Special report talking about note investing and
Oh.
giving just a high level overview about what it is and how it works. And that way you can learn more and be more knowledgeable about it. But I love
Yeah.
connecting with other investors and networking and building relationships. So uh, if you'd like, please feel free to reach out and contact me. And another way, for those of you that like to just do things on your mobile device,
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah.
yeah, you can text, right? You can text me, text the word note, NOTE, to the number 47177, and then follow the prompts. And that's another way. And
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
repeat.
Okay.
Yeah. So text the
Awesome.
word note to 47177, and
Great.
look forward to connecting with you.
No, I love this. So again, for those of you who are listening on my podcast platforms, you can go to our YouTube channel, Our Life and Stories, and you'll see Fred's all of his links for his book and how to get a hold of him. And I think this, great. I love hearing about different investments than the run of the mill, especially with the stock market go up and down. And there's a lot of people who just like that steady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, Tina. I
Yeah.
think it's so important. And the markets, it's a wild roller coaster,
Yes.
right? Look at what happened recently,
Yes.
right? Just recently in the news about GameStop
Yep.
and all the games, the literal
Yes.
games that and manipulation that was going on, right? And I think there's a lot of people that are just fed up with that. And
Yeah.
um,
The
the
fact that it could be
the
manipulated was amazing. Think about that.
manipulation
Yes.
and the sinking feeling of watching your account value get wiped out
Yeah.
basically overnight.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
that's not for
it
the faint of
all
heart.
no, it's definitely not. And if all you have is in that, that's really not good. So I always
No.
encourage people, take a portion of your investments and move them into alternative investments. and
Yes.
and really it's the opportunity to transition a little bit away from Wall Street and over to Main Street, and
Oh,
invest
I
in
like
things.
that.
Yeah,
I like
invest in
that.
things that right, in
Yeah.
houses that people like you and I live in
Yeah.
every day, and things that have tangible value. It's about security, preservation of capital.
No, I like that. Well, Fred,
Yeah.
thank you so much for stopping by. And again, I'm going to get Fred to send me his links, and you can find them, over at our YouTube channel, and they'll be clickable, and then on our Facebook page. And Fred, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you, Tina.
You're
It's been a
valuable.
pleasure.
Yes, valuable,
Thank-
because I don't think when you first said that, hey, I'm like, hey, I need to know about this. And I just know, and like you said, especially for people who really need just consistency and not have to worry about their investments, I really think that the note investing would just be right up their alley. So I've definitely reach out to
yeah.
Fred and have that conversation with him. And, thank you so much for being with us today, Fred. And this is Tina McGlynn, another episode of Life and Stories. Today we were talking with Fred Moskowitz, and he is definitely the investment expert, alternative investment expert. So reach out to him if you don't want to have to keep looking at that stock portfolio. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.